All right, Scorpion Grass Bridge, behind the scenes, day one, shoot one. We're at 4 Mile Beach, right at the edge of Wilder Ranch, and we're shooting hands in the pedestrian tunnel. Heading north from here, hopefully get 3 more beaches, and yeah, get some good footage for the tunnel scenes in cycle 2. Here we are at Panther Beach, second shoot of the day, second shoot of the first day. The sort of hero tunnel is here, the tunnel I sort of picked out from memory that I wanted to be the main tunnel that starts off the tunnel sequence. I had picked this tunnel just sort of based on memory and some satellite shots. Getting here, I realized it was a lot more full of water than I'd realized. So that was a little adventurous, getting into murky water in a tunnel, not really knowing what was in there. But I did bring combat boots, which was probably a good choice. So yeah, then took a walk that way down Hole-in-the-Wall Beach and got some footage of just the beach in general. One thing I'm thinking a lot about is, do I call out the fact that there are footprints and graffiti? The original image or original vision was that it was sort of abandoned beaches, but now I am curious if maybe it would make more sense to call out the fact that there are graffiti and footprints, but nobody's around. How strange. That would just make it a little easier for some of the wide shots and stuff if they happen to include some footprints or whatever. So we'll see how it looks. We can always make that call later. And yeah, going well so far. Two more tunnels, 2 more beaches to shoot today, hopefully. And then we'll wrap it up in Davenport. Here's a good spot to talk about why these tunnels exist. So I'm at Panther Beach. Panther Beach is a beach because there is a stream that runs from up in the foothills down. So what happened was back in the early 1900s, I think it wrapped up around 1920, there was a railroad that came through here. And to build the railroad flat, they filled in the gullies that were tied to the streams. But the water still had to get across the railroad tracks. So they dug the tunnels through the rock around where they filled in and would run the water through those tunnels. And that's what created them. And that's where we're shooting today. Bonny Doon Beach. This is a big old tunnel, and I do love the drips. I'm hoping that the drips will add a little production value here. All right, we originally made this spooky tunnel, and we're going to see what the other side looks like, and if we can get some footage in the middle. It went way better than expected. The tunnel here was big, the water was shallow, you could go in one end and could see light from the other, but not see the other. So it just had really good production value, I guess. So yeah, I could have shot the whole thing here if I'd been creatively motivated. I think I could have pulled that off. So got some good stuff. You could stand in the middle and see both ends. There was a cool little brush area at the northern end. So yeah, lots of good stuff here. Good spot to film. We'll see how it looks. I might substitute this for what I was going to use the beach end of Sharkfin Cove for. The sort of the come out back to the beach and I think U-turned kind of thing. I don't know if I will, but it was a really good spot for that. So I might use that depending on what Sharkfin Cove looks like. All right. I'm glad I didn't depend on this one to be the getting off the beach shot because it wasn't great. What happened was there's a tunnel out to the waves, and I had seen photos through that opening that I thought were from the actual tunnel, the drainage tunnel, and they were not. So I had it pictured as this big thing with an ocean view, and it really isn't. It looks just across the beach to just another wall. So it wasn't a great spot for what I wanted. But that's fine because I made sure the last beach I shot that little piece, so I think I'm covered. But yeah, there were a ton of people here. It took a couple tries to get the shots to the mouth of the tunnel because people kept walking across and standing there. All in all, though, it was a really good shoot. It was really cool to explore the tunnel. I'm betting, based on the lay of the land, that this one's pretty long. So might be worth exploring some later to see what else we could get here. I went in with a headlamp, I borrowed Tiffany's headlamp, and there might be a chance to do a sequence like the way it's written. He goes into the tunnel and immediately his flashlight's not working and he says something about it, with the goal being I wanted to be able to just cut to black if I had to. But I realized I can hide some cuts if he falls. So like, let's say he stumbles and falls, I can probably hide a cut in that, or just do straight cuts because, you know, I'm in charge. But I did play with that a little bit, so maybe we can have a little sequence of the flashlight. It was just a really good tunnel for that. We'll see what it looks like. Some thoughts about yesterday. I think it went really well. First thing I noticed when I was trying to shoot the sequence in the truck, I felt a lot of pressure to like have the lines memorized, have them delivered as written consistently across one continuous take. And then I realized part of the beauty of shooting this story is that it's about a character who wouldn't be perfect. You know, the people that shoot this kind of intro to a video, they're going to have multiple takes and there will be cuts, and any of the weird video issues that I would run into, he would run into too, with multiple takes and different angles and mistakes and the camera falling over. So it's just kind of the nature of the piece makes it easier to shoot because I'm kind of living that story just in a slightly less spooky way. The unloading sequence took forever. It always feels like it takes a long time to unload when I'm just going out to kayak, but making sure I had everything and had thought through the continuity, that just made it take forever and ever. So got some decent shots, but it's going to be like 10 seconds of the final version. Trash was an interesting issue on the river. There's always some trash just because it's surrounded by farm areas and stuff gets washed in. And it hangs up in the trees and on the banks. The problem was I realized I'm trying to sort of sell this area as a pristine wilderness in a state park or a national park somewhere. So a lot of the shots, I had to really make sure that there was no trash visible. So you'll see some where it's framed a little higher than it needs to be, or framed a lot higher than it needs to be. Just trying to keep all that out of the way, especially sort of the action sequence with the rope snag. I really didn't want to have to fuss with anything behind me because I knew it was going to be an action sequence. It was way higher angled than I intended. I hadn't decided to just have my head peeking up, but you know, it works. It shows the trees. It's a little spooky. It's pretty cool. This sequence worked really well. One thing I had hoped is that the catch would be really hard, and it wasn't. What I did was I found a submerged tree or a semi-submerged tree and tied an old climbing rope to it. Now it is gym line, so climbing gym line, so it doesn't have a lot of stretch, but it had some. And I just ran it through the scuppers at the back of the boat and tied it to the branch and then paddled along. So there wasn't a real sharp catch, but that's fine. I think it'll give us space to add a sound effect. The cool thing was, though, because I didn't just, fake it by bumping into the bank or bumping into a log, there's a chance for me to kind of fight it and paddle against it and rock the boat a little bit. And I think that really sells it. I think if I'd faked it just by bumping up against something, I wouldn't have been able to react in quite the same way. So that part went really well. And then coming out of it, where I jumped back in the boat, I was really proud of that. I thought that looked really good. I was trying to be freaked out without being totally freaked out. And it just so happened that there were some snags right there. So as I'm fleeing, I'm like busting through branches. And that was really cool. There was an owl. Actually, there were two owls. I spooked two owls as I was paddling. I think they were probably great horned owls. They were not barn owls. They didn't have the big white face. They were chunky, big through the head and the shoulders. I think they were great horned. Two of them. One of them, after it passed, out into the distance, I found one of its feathers. Got some footage of the feather, and that was kind of cool. Owls are psychopomps, so sort of that idea of being on the edge of here and there, liminal space, life and death. So definitely going to have to get that owl feather in the final cut. Just one of those unexpected moments. Another great unexpected moment was this shot at the end. I ran out of battery on the old GoPro, swapped to the new one, and I wanted this sort of ambiguous space here, and this just nailed it because it's the new GoPro. It's got a front display, so you can see the display reflected in the water, and the water kind of moves. I didn't plan this at all. I thought it was just going to be sort of gray, ambiguous space. But it looks amazing. I'm really excited. I think that's going to be a great little addition. I'm going to reshoot this sequence, but I may keep this little piece of it here at the beginning and just cross dissolve into it. I'm going to reshoot it with more light. I'm going to shoot it where he passes out closer to the camera, but I do want to show this because I really liked my delivery here.
Don't come back. Don't come back. You will want to, but don't come back. That was lots of diaphragm, very little throat. It just felt sort of drained and sapped and weird and foreign without sounding like I was putting on a voice. And that felt really cool. All in all, it was a great day. Just kind of working out better than I expected. I'm not forgetting things or missing things. I'm getting the shots I need. It's working out the way I wanted, and that feels really good. Happy New Year's Day. It's January 1, 2026. I sat down to do a little audio work today. It's too rainy to really go shoot, probably too rainy for the next few days. There is one big sound effect in the film, and that is when I call it the beast cry. In cycle 2, it's the creature that scares the main character up a tree. As the sun sets, as it gets dark in cycle 2, it's also the creature that scares him into the tunnel. You know, he's walked along the beach for a long way. It's nothing but beach cliffs, comes to a tunnel. It's creepy. He doesn't want to go in. He hears the cry of the beast and is like, gotta go, gotta get away from that. So it's an important sound. It's really the only effect I needed, but it's got to be really good because it serves some crucial purposes at 2 big places in cycle 2. So I worked on it today and I got something I really like. I'm going to play it right now. I did a little demo test track. Here it is. And it's cold and it's dark and nothing is working. My flashlight's not working. My watch isn't working. My phone, of course, isn't working. It's coming back. I can hear it. What is that? So it sounds really good. That's the demo. I was really excited. The really cool part for me is I'm not great with audio. I don't understand the filters. I don't understand all the little parameters. It's just not something I'm naturally good at. So the fact that I could get that from a source piece of audio and make that happen in a relatively short time, you know, a couple hours today, I just feel really good about. I'm really excited about that. That felt really good to do something new and different and challenging and not sort of in my wheelhouse. So that felt really good. Let's talk about the source for the audio now, because this is a really cool story. So the source you heard was actually a great blue heron. And here's the backstory. Months ago, a long time ago, I was paddling Lexington Reservoir, and I was at the north end where it gets shallow. There's lots of reeds near the edge of the water, and I spooked a great blue heron. And I'd seen lots of herons before. They take off, they fly, but I got close to it because I just kind of popped out from behind some plants. So it startled and it gave an alarm cry, and I didn't see it when it took off. So all I heard was this great blue heron alarm cry, which I had never heard before, and it sounds really, really creepy. It's really scary. I didn't know what it was. I just heard this really scary sound. I look and, oh, it's a great blue heron. Okay. In that moment, I remember thinking, someday some big horror director is going to hear that sound and go, I'm going to make that the sound of the creature in my film. Kind of laughed it off. Told a couple of people, yeah, you ever heard of great blue heron? They're kind of scary. Fast forward to my November paddle trip. Early November, I went to Pajaro, and it was the day that I really just kind of had all these ideas in my head about maybe I can make this movie, and it all kind of came together. And I was just kind of taking some notes and keeping some ideas. I took some footage on the river that I knew I might be able to use for the future. It was just kind of when all this came together. It just so happened, as I was paddling to the bridge that goes over the river there, that I'm going to use as the scorpion grass bridge, I spooked a heron, and it flew out in front of me, and I had the camera rolling, and it made the cry. And as soon as it was gone, I spun the camera around. I'll show you. Spun the camera around and said, keep that audio. It's going to come in handy. Let's see what we can do with it. I'll show you. So that was the audio of a great blue heron. We got a very annoyed great blue heron. So yeah, definitely save that because they're freaky as heck. So that was the source. I just happened to get it. It was one of those moments of a lot of luck that came together, and that's what I used. The actual effect is really simple. Let me talk you through it. Here's the original. And then I just slowed it down 50%. Then I pitched it down so the whole pitch is lower. So that's the final effect. That's where it came from. It just felt really good to do something that I know I'm not good at. You know, step up to the part of the project that kind of had me a little worried, a little anxious. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off, and just kind of went in with a vision and went in having some interesting source material that I knew I really wanted to use, and coming out with something that I think will work for the movie. That was really cool.
This is the third day of shooting. It is January 3rd, 2026. We're at the tunnel under 17. One of the nice things about today is it actually rained. You know, it doesn't rain that much in Santa Cruz, but we got lucky. So we will go from a sunny beach in most of the tunnel sequence to coming out of this tunnel to a nice rainy day. It's just going to kind of drive home the idea that, you know, we're in strange territory. I feel like to sell it, I gotta get in the water. I think it's just gonna look better, but I don't want to get in the water because the water's gross. I think I gotta get in the water. Living the dream. So I picked this park really just because it was close to where I was shooting in the tunnel, and I hadn't been here a lot before, so I thought it might be nice to kind of explore. Two big challenges. Here's one. Both sides of the trail are fenced off for a good part of the direction we're headed, a good distance in the direction that we headed. The other, that's Highway 17, and we're so close that you can hear the car noise. So I'm not sure what'll happen. I think the footage is going to be good. Whether we can conceal the car noise or not, I don't know. I got some good footage of a waterfall, like water coming out of a pipe. And I walked next to a stream and got some stream footage. So my thought is maybe we can cover the traffic noise. If we can't, you know, edit it out using the denoiser, maybe we can cover the traffic noise with stream noise. We'll see how that works. Cool, pretty excited about this. I wasn't quite sure what it would feel like coming together, like how's it gonna cut? I don't know, but it feels like I got some good stuff here, and hopefully it'll cut together well with what I just shot. That was a lot of climbing, a lot of up and down. Also, I'm wearing 4 layers, so it's a little hot. I'm gonna take those off in a minute and walk back to my car in this lovely drizzle. I just shot the last scene. There was a guy watching me from kind of afar with his dog, and I thought he was concerned for my health, but after a minute or two he wandered over and he said, "Are you coming or going?" I said, "Well, you know, neither. I'm kind of shooting a short film here." And he said, "Oh, because my dog likes to play in the water in the evenings. Can I bring her over to play in the water?" So I made a little space for the dog to go play. Good shoot at Davenport Beach today. We were doing some scenes of him waking up on the beach and traveling along the sea cliffs. And it went pretty well. There were a lot of people here, so had to rearrange some of the shots to not have people in the background. But one of the nice things about the beach, San Vicente Creek flows across it, and you have to wade through the creek to get to one end of the beach. So I just waded on through, shot most of my stuff at the other end, and it worked out really well. And then people had kind of cleared out by the time I wanted to shoot at the opposite end. So got some good stuff. I did check out the San Vicente Creek tunnel, which was looked cool, but there was a lot of water coming through it, and I was not interested in wading through water going quite that fast or being quite that deep. So did not get any shots of the tunnel today. I'm in the parking lot outside Davenport. Just got wrapped up with the shoot on Davenport Beach, and we're going to try out two of our new GoPro toys today. We've got our big new GoPro and also the GoPro suction mount. So we're going to drive south on Route 1 back toward Santa Cruz, and we'll see if this footage is awesome. Here I am in a tree in Arana Gulch, wearing full paddling gear. I'm sure it's a very strange sight for anybody who happens to run by this evening.
I want to show you one of my favorite places at Lexington Reservoir. Here we're looking out toward the reservoir. We're going to turn and we're going to see a big concrete culvert, big rectangular culvert, obviously not in great shape. There's some wonky angles here. We're going to move up the culvert and we find this pool with rocks, storm debris. Looking up, we'll see a road supported by some concrete columns. And then you see a second section of culvert. Okay, here you can see, looking up towards the hills, upstream here. I think what happened is because of erosion, the culvert snapped into two, and the piece that's still under the road was probably the original location, and then this second section here detached and moved over time and got that strange angle to it, and I think that's what happened. It's a really interesting space, so I picked a part of the movie that I thought was crucial, important, needed to be visually arresting, and filmed it right there in the culvert. So yeah, just wanted to introduce you to one of my favorite spots.
Well, apparently they closed the gate at 4:45 at Lexington, which I did not know, so I missed the gate. Had to take my wheels down and pick up my kayak, roll it up the hill. I wasn't sure how today was going to go because I had what I thought of as the emotional scene where I talk about Gloria, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to bring that emotion in a real way. I feel like I did. I think it looked pretty good, and we got some really great shots here at other spots as well. Did a little rewrite on the fly of the end to make it just a little simpler to shoot. Yeah, it went really well today.
I just wrapped up the main shooting for the movie. There was one last big scene that needed shooting. My friend Sasha agreed to play the part of Gloria. And so we went out to Lexington Reservoir and shot the one sort of climactic scene there. It went so well. It was so nice to have a second person around to offer suggestions and watch the video back and just to kind of talk things through with. That was really nice. So there's lots more to do. There's editing, there's effects, voiceover stuff. We'll shoot some things here, but the big, hard, heavy lift is done and it feels so good.